What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? My name is Alex Yu, and let's talk about last night. This is just the web series. We're talking about Transformers last night. This is episode number 13, and in this episode, we're going to talk about unused concepts, specifically concept art. You guys know concept art. It's all very cool and fascinating because we get to see how a concept artist's vision is translated into live action. And it's very interesting because there are a lot of cool concepts out there, and we've seen all these concept art for all 5 films. And now that the film has been released, a lot of the concept artists are releasing, or rather revealing, the concept art for Transformers last night. Obviously, they can't reveal any of this stuff before the film is released, but sometimes it it's leaked out. But this time they've done a really good job at keeping it all under wraps. But now it's all being revealed, and it's very, very interesting. So let's just talk about it. I'm going to talk about unused concepts. I'm not going to talk about concept art that was actually that ended up being used. I'm going to talk about some unused concepts and also some concepts that were used, but I want to make a little bit of a commentary on some of them. So let's start off in no particular order with baby Dinobots. First of all, the baby Dinobots, otherwise known as the mini Dinobots, were quite useless in the film. They just provided a little bit of comic relief and these cute moments, but I really was confused about them, what purpose they served, and as to why they were even in there to begin with, and what did they add to the story? Nothing at all. Excuse me. Anyways, there's the Brachiosaurus that wasn't used. I guess this would have been the Brontosaurus. Is it Slog or Sludge? I can't remember. But anyways, there would have been a Brachiosaurus. It wasn't added in, and I'm kind of happy that it wasn't added in, just because, dude, we really need more mini Dinobots. The same goes for the Spinosaurus. All they really are miniaturized versions, but with big eyes, with big, googly, cute eyes. So I really didn't think that was necessary. This was interesting. This is the Sentry, and this was obviously we saw TRF Sentries walking around, but they're kind of like chicken-legged bipedal robots, sentries, right? There's a 4-legged version, and I'm just thinking, if there was going to be a 4-legged version or a 2-legged version, they're going to be both the same. I have a feeling that the 2-legged version was a little bit more would be a little bit more mobile. With the 4-legged version, I think it might move faster, but regardless, they're still in the same type of environment, which is like in that ruined building area. So it can't really have a lot. It doesn't have a whole lot of space to move around. So I guess less is more in this case. This is something interesting, the Hong Kong horn, and we've seen the Unicron horns pop up in Nibia, in Jordan, in I forget what other countries that it popped up in, but here it is popping up in the is it the Sea of China or the anyways, in the harbor of the Hong Kong harbor is popping up in that the body of water that separates Hong Kong from Kowloon. And I think it would be really cool to see that coming out of the water in Hong Kong, because it's kind of like a callback to the events of Age of Extinction. Now, of course, this is Megatron's jet, and you're probably wondering, why am I bringing this up? Because we've already seen it. This is a concept that is used in Transformers Last Night, but it's kind of a yes and no kind of thing. Yes, it is a concept that was used in Transformers Last Night. Yes, it was Megatron's alt mode, but we didn't get to see a whole lot of it. There's got to be a purpose as to why Megatron is back to being a jet. Oh, sure, he can fly around. He can, he's nimble, he's agile, he can go from one place to another, and that's all really, really cool. But wouldn't it be cool if a sleek alt mode design like this, a Cybertronian jet design with a cockpit, actually served some sort of purpose for the story? As in, maybe there was a jet battle, like how he's taking out like Ospreys, or how he's taking out F-22s or whatever, or the F-22s are trying to chase him down. Wouldn't that have been cool? We only got to see a scene like that only in Transformers 1. The very first Transformer, when Starscream was doing battle with the Raptors in the downtown battle. That's what makes the first one so great, because the alt modes were actually functional. There was actually the robots in disguise concept. Now, in this case, it's just a jet. it doesn't matter what it looks like. It could have looked like any of Megatron's previous alt mode designs. Like, it's regardless of it's a sleek looking jet or like a weird looking jet, it doesn't matter. So that's my little rant about that. See, check this out. This is a concept that was made for a Paris battle. Like, they're jets chasing after Megatron, and this took place in Paris. We didn't get to see this. This is an unused concept, and I think it would have been really cool had Megatron been involved in an aerial jet chase. This is Trader Bot. We got to know him later on as Day Trader, and it obviously looks a lot like Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi, rather. But I'm so glad they didn't go with this facial design, because, like, that's just, like, too weird. I'm glad they decided to go with whatever he looks like in the movie. This is a Ruins Bot, or otherwise known as Canopy. You guys remember Canopy? That's the Autobot that gave the kids and Isabella Moner shelter from TRF. But that's what he looks like. But what I like about this over Canopy is that Canopy was basically an Autobot version of a yellow long haul. Basically, that's a already seen a robot design. This, on the other hand, is something entirely different. This is a train bot. This is like a bot that's made up entirely of trains, maybe even several trains. It does look like it could be big enough for several trains, but to see a train transformer, that would have been awesome. It's an unused concept that had potential. They didn't use it. They decided to recycle designs and go with long haul's design instead. This is an unused Hound design. We do get to, however, see this design as a toy. The Turbo Changer toy of Hound actually comes with these guns, but the Voyager version doesn't. Now, had they included Hound with these guns in the movie, I'm just thinking, would they have actually used it in as doing battle in an alt mode? I'm thinking probably not. It's probably going to be just for show. But if he did come with these guns, maybe his guns will be bigger when he actually fights in the movie as a robot mode. But I'm just thinking, the way Hound was handled in Transformers Last Night, you know, I really think that it wouldn't have mattered. The guns would have done no real significant potential damage, just because even though Hound had a minigun in Transformers Last Night, it really didn't show us what he was shooting at, except for that one little scene where he used the slow motion bullets, or Hot Rod used like a thing to show the bullets in slow motion when he was shooting at Megatron. So that's all Hound really did. Moving on, I want to bring your attention to the Dragon. This is like an underwater ship dragon, which means that there could have been an underwater ship, an alien ship that could have transformed into a dragon in Transformers Last Night. We didn't get that. Heck, we didn't even get to see a submarine transform. So that's really, really unfortunate. This is another unused concept that would have been really, really interesting. Now here is Onslaught. And Onslaught we do get to see in Transformers Last Night, but his screen time is not only so little, but the amount of like his physical appearance that we see in Transformers Last Night is limited to just background moments. Like, he's very, very tiny in a lot of the scenes that he's in, just because they don't really zoom in on him. They don't really give him his moments, his screen time moments. All we've really given that was the most was his introduction, which is actually very small. Actually, his introduction was nothing, actually, but it was only when he got killed, that was his only real moment, and he didn't even put up a fight. I like what they did with Onslaught's design. I really like it. He's got a giant cannon, which they call the Executioner, and also these claws, which has blood on it, but what did it really do? Nothing. Why did they even have to show that he's got these claws if it wasn't really going to do anything? That's really, really unfortunate. I want to bring your attention next to this fight between Drift and Mohawk. Look at this. Mohawk has two weapons in his hands, and Drift, also a hand-to-hand fighter, he has a sword. Wouldn't that have been a cool fight? Unfortunately, all we ended up getting is Bumblebee beheading him with his gun and him blowing up. And like I said, none of the Decepticons, including Mohawk, put up a fight. This would have been cool. Like I said, they don't put up a fight, but there's the train yard battle, and like, where does this even happen? Like, when Drift and Onslaught actually fought, it was actually in an abandoned town. So where was even the train yard? I'm just thinking, had it been a train yard battle, Onslaught would have used his claw, pick up some trains, and thrown it at Drift. It would have been a really cool fight, but it got limited to just a really, really quick beheading. This is Josh Nizzi's design of a tank transformer. They call him Bulldog. This one wasn't used, but this would have been a interesting concept. The reason why is because it would have been modeled more after Warpath, because Warpath is a Autobot tank which actually has his gun sticking out of his chest. The Bulldog version that we saw in Transformers Last Night doesn't have that, so therefore this would have been more closer to the G1 design. Now, this is very, very interesting. This concept is of two tanks, like duocons. They call them the Tank Bot Duo, which consists of two robots that form into a tank. And this is very, very cool because one obviously makes up most of the body, and the other part makes up the top part, I assume, because he's got the gun in his arm. This would have been a really, really interesting concept. In fact, this would have been a new concept because now you have two robots that combine into a big tank. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see that. But this is something that I would have loved to see. Now, this is something that I'm very mixed on. It is interesting. It's definitely very fascinating. But where on earth would this have applied to in the movie? I know there are a lot of flashback scenes in Transformers Last Night. We got the World War II scene. We got the medieval sequences. This would have been something more along the lines of maybe some kind of like prehistoric era or something like that, where Optimus Prime actually was on Earth as an ape, and obviously that's an homage to Beast Wars. Like Optimus Primal, right? So, but I really just don't know how it would have applied to the actual movie. They might have just made it just for the sake of having a flashback sequence, something for the fans. Definitely fan service. This would have been definitely fan service. They put a lot of work into this. I mean, look at this. They have these head designs, but what place it has in the movie, I really don't think it has any place in the movie at all. Same with this, a Transformer snake. Like, where would this have been applied? And why would there even be a Transformer snake? Something that's so giant. It's interesting. Obviously, a lot of fans would probably be thinking, like, I would have loved to see this. Sure, you say that for any concept that would have been made. But really, like, what kind of movie are we making here? I think the Optimus Prime ape concept and the snake concept belong in its own film, like a Beast Wars film. As for what we saw in Transformers Last Night, it was already enough. So, but keep in mind that a lot of concepts that don't get used in the first, second, third, fourth film, like they do end up getting used in like the fifth film or even future films. So don't think that just because we didn't see it in Transformers Last Night doesn't mean we're never going to see it at all. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. I just want to provide a bit of a commentary on things we didn't get to see, and I think it's all very interesting. Concept art has always been fascinating to me because the artists actually come up with these really, really great ideas, and it's really up to the filmmakers to decide how this is going to get applied to the film. Some of it gets used, a lot of it doesn't. And if you want to check out more concept art, I am going to leave you a link in the description box below where it takes you to my to this album that I created on the Facebook Ragin Nation Facebook page, where a lot of the concept art is there, and you can check that out and you can comment on them and let me know how you feel about any of the concept art. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What is your favorite unused concept? I'd really like to know what you would have liked to see in the film. I think for myself, I think that the train bot, the Ruins bot, would have been something that's would be very, very cool. It might not have a whole lot of screen time, but just seeing a train transformer is something that is definitely them thinking outside the box. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. As always, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. I prefer it in white, and I kind of want it. The only problem is that, I can only get it from the gift shop, so the only available other option is